Hey everybody, I am Tommy, and you are on the lifeboat. You know something? I lost all of my comments. That's absolutely bizarre. Every comment that was there just disappeared. So, Diana Smith, good to see you. Anna, how are you? Jason P, what's up? Sandy Wendy, looking good. Yeah, I don't know what the hell just happened. I am Tommy, and I ran across Russ. He was posted up by the canteen, trying to rip off some people.
Right.
Get a bag of keepy.
Seeing who's got stored.
That's right, man. Taxing someone for a yellow bag of keepy. I live for now. Good to see you. I work with Kate Jordan. Hello. How are you? Yay. Glad you're here. Snake, what's up? You know, just going to do this show here. Crush, look at that. Lily looking good. Looking good, Lily. Scooby-Doo, what's up, Jim? Jane Aldrich, Dennis Smith. Hey, Valerie 102. Good to see you. I like when Valerie's here. All righty. Now, this is how we do this, people. If you're new to Night Yard, and listen, I'm not going to work him all night tonight. This man works 60 hours a week, and I've been keeping him up really, really late. So, but if you have any questions, man, toss up cues, right? Make us understand that it's a question. You can write question in front of it. You can do any of those things, but we will. Hey, CJ Harris, we will absolutely answer any of the questions you got. Donna Kebab, how are you? Linda Burton. Good to see you. I like it. I like it. Been pretty busy around here too, Russ. Really has. Been pretty busy around here. Probably not working as hard as you are, but they've been long days. Diane, how are you? Nat B from Canada. You know what? I knew Nat B would be here. Nat B doesn't miss she doesn't miss Night Yard. Yeah.
No.
Question.
Go ahead.
How are women's prisons different? Well, we're not there. That's the biggest difference. No, you know, from what I understand, honestly, the big difference is this. They build relationships, and that's completely cool, and people understand that, right? So there might be 30 people in a day room that all have girlfriends, right? You're not going to really do a day room where there's 40 guys that all have, well, maybe you can, but not on a general population yet. Maybe those yards are out there, but they're not GP yards to be sure. But they tattoo, they got gangs. It's all of the same stuff. It really is. Ladybug Melissa, how are you? When I used to get on Con Air, there was the women would sit in the first 4 or 5 rows, right? And then all of the fellas would sit behind that. And everybody always wants to get as close as they can to those rows so that they can talk to a woman, because it may be 25 years before they can do that again, you know?
Right.
But they talk exactly like the fellas, right? Every other word's an F-bomb. Yeah, it's pretty similar.
Oh, yeah.
How did we meet? I don't have any idea. How did we meet?
We met during the Masterson trial.
Okay.
You went on with Aaron, and
Right.
I was kind of like keeping Aaron informed about the sentencing and what was going to happen.
Nice.
And I was right. I tried to tell him, they got to sentence him to that time, that date.
Yeah.
So don't expect any miracles, and I was right.
Yeah.
So that's how we.
Yeah, there wasn't much room to play with that sentence. I live for now.
No.
Hey, Colleen G. You know what? I remember that now. Whine a little bit more. Susie Q. Caroline in Canada. Good to see you. Good to see you. Oh, Susie Q. Megan, good to see you. Hey, James. What's happening? More psychological violence than physical violence. Go figure, right? If any of you have ever raised boys and girls, boys hit 12, 13, and 14, and they start punching each other, right?
Yeah.
When girls hit 13, 14, and 15, they're going to destroy each other, and they go after each other's reputations and start calling each other sluts, and it's just absolutely horrific. Absolutely horrific. Do we get special classes? Not really. We're supposed to have classes. We're supposed to have all kinds of stuff in there that is supposed to rehabilitate you. But that's all smoking mirrors, man. They're not doing anything to rehabilitate anybody.
No, they're not. If you finish a class, they give you your little diploma and put you on your way.
Looking good in green. I love it when people turn green. I love that. I love that. Do they allow your fur babies to come for visits? No. No. Sonic Bob, thank you. No fur babies, but
in Indiana and other states, like I'm not sure where, but you can't. They do have a cat program or adopt a dog or train a dog. But you can keep a cat like in Michigan City.
Well, we had cats on a yard.
Prison,
yeah, we had cats on a yard that I was on, and all of the fellas wanted to be in the gatehouse, right? The oldest and nastiest part of that, because the cats can come in and out like whenever they wanted.
Yep.
And we got a new warden. It was a woman, and she came in and she took away musical instruments. Right, she just started peeling stuff. Right, I mean, like right off the top, just getting rid of stuff, not making any friends. And then she shut that door so that the cats couldn't get inside. And they started burning the place to the ground.
Yeah.
The fellas lost their cool. Like the musical instruments, no, they let that slide. Johnny Scoville, good to see
inmates.
you. Don't take away their
inmates and have them.
Don't
they
mess
will
with furry
kill you.
things.
Yeah.
Another great story in the feds in Oregon. I wasn't there for this, but I saw the cop, and the cop's just butchered the dude. He's got like the worst scars you've ever seen on his neck. I mean, just somebody tried to butcher it. Right? Hey, man, that's none of my business. But did that happen at work? He said, yeah, it did. Good God, man. He goes, you know those the three tree stumps that are out in front, right in front of your unit? I go, yeah. He said, we cut those trees down. He goes, there was squirrels and stuff that lived in them. And a guy freaked out, started destroying his room, breaking the beds. But he had busted a mirror out, and he had wrapped the thing. And he got the dude, killed him. You don't want somebody's animals, man.
Damn. No, you don't. You really don't.
On Con Air, you get a little box about this big, right? And the same thing as a bus. Russ has seen it. It's a bus meal. They keep these things in the freezer. The amazing thing is the bread will stay regular in a freezer for about 25 years. It's the worst food in the world. It's one piece of green bologna. Well, it'll look like bologna, but when you look at it from the side, it looks like an oil slick or really good old blow. You know what I mean? Like there's that little oil slick.
Yeah. Yep. 2 cookies.
Yep. 2 cookies.
Exactly. You could chip concrete with. Yeah.
Yeah. Or they're hockey pucks. No one's ever really been able to nail that down. It very well might be a hockey puck. But and the funniest thing is, so hey, analytical Blarney, I don't know how it is, right? But I would imagine it's the same in the state. If you're custody level, like if you're not a camper, they're going to black box you, right? If you happen to have a high custody level, they have this thing called the black box, and a black box goes over the chains on the handcuff to make the handcuff one piece. Now the companies have gotten slick and they make one piecers that are awful. That's what they use at the SMU. But when they put that black box on, you also have belly chains, and the only reason you can scratch your nose is because there's not a black box on that. And the second they put a black box on it, you can't get your hands, right, about more than an inch above your belly button. And then they will come over and throw a thing of food and a bottle of water on your lap. And you just look at it like, what the hell am I going to do with this, man?
They started doing that because everybody was figuring out you could use your comb to open your cup.
Absolutely, you could. Yeah, absolutely you could.
I don't know how many times I did it on a bus.
You know what's the other one that's really fantastic? I was hoping I had a bottle here, but I don't. If you've ever been in a county jail and they've got the soda machines in the unit, because in some places they'll have a soda machine inside. You got to buy a piece of paper to put in there like a ducat. But they have these things on the wall, and when you buy one of these, you got to take it up to the desk, and they want the cap. You cannot be in possession of the cap. And guys are like, no, it doesn't make any sense to me at all. They're like, why wouldn't you be able to have the cap? Because of that plastic is so damn hard at that angle right there, man. You can make a cut out of that thing instantly. I mean,
they used to take our tuna. When we do that, they'd have to take the tuna, that little key we used to get.
Yeah.
I don't know if you ever did, but yeah.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. Sardines.
Oh, yeah.
Sardines.
Yeah, sardines. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what's funny? Here's the thing. Honestly, if you've done any amount of time at all, you probably know how to slip a pair of cuffs. Like if you've been in any kind of trouble at all, a comb thing will work beautifully. You can also use a shim. Like you can put it down the side, and like anything broken off the side of a pair of glasses works beautifully. Like the arm of a pair of glasses is a really easy way to get out of a set of cuffs. But there's nothing funnier. I got left in the law library by this female guard. And she came back and she's like, I'm supposed to uncuff. And she walked away. I said, hey. She goes, I'll be back in 30 seconds. Relax. Never came back. So I'm in this damn law library and I can't even do anything. My hands are locked behind my back. And I'm yelling, yo, as loud as I can. And finally, I'm like, man, I'm taking these things off. So when the woman came back, I was like, I held the things out and dropped them on the floor, and they freaked the hell out, dude.
Yeah,
they
would freak
out.
out.
You would have thought I shot somebody.
Yep.
You know, I've never seen what the hole looks like on television. Have you?
Oh, yeah, I've seen it, and it does look like that, like on some prison shows or something like that.
The hole is
Yeah,
the most
but
disgusting place in the world, right?
some are, yeah.
The reason is nobody actually lives there. I know that this may sound ridiculous, but when you're doing time on a yard where people are actually doing a decent amount of time, this is where people live, right?
Yep.
This is a sad but true. This is their home, so to speak. So when you get to the special management unit, no one's going to be there for more than a year, and that's a big screw up. If you're in there a year, you really did something stupid. But usually you're out of there in about 30 to 90 days. So people trash it. It's not their place. You know what I mean? And they absolutely trash it. Lisa Trimble is tossing out hot sauce packets. Taylor Miller, they will freeze your bank accounts depending on what the crime is, right? Like if you unalive somebody, they're not going to freeze your bank accounts, right? But if the money that you have in those accounts, right, or in the house and all those things, if they can trace those assets back to crime, you're losing. You're losing everything. I promise. They'll take it all.
They will.
Can people really mess with your food in prison and add disgusting additions?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I could tell you some stories that you don't want to hear. The guys that do special diets in the kitchen, right? The guys who do special diets work in a little concrete room off of every other one. They do kosher. They do all these things. I never had that job, but I ordered all of their food, right? I was the guy that ordered everything. So I would go and meet with these guys, and they were vicious because like they were the trusted inmates. And yeah, they're putting trays together for guys in the shoe that they know are dog crap, right? That they know are bad people. And yeah, it's really foul. You know,
if you can count, if you know where they start, you can count how many, and that'll go to your cell. So they already know.
Well, you know what's bad?
They start at 101 or 100, and they go around, so they just stack them.
The stupid thing
is, right to you. Yeah.
The stupid thing is the in the BOP so you got a rotunda, right? In the shoe, most of them have a little rotunda where the cops sit, and then you've got like your regular, you know, where you've got two hallways that go down, but there's a set of stairs that go up, and that set of stairs that goes up goes to a much shorter hallway, right? Because it's with the stairs and everything else cut into it, so it's only got like maybe 8 or 9 cells, right? It's the smallest of all of the tiers. And they always put the freaks on it, right? They always put all of that because they want them away from everybody else, and the guys aren't trying to slime them or do whatever. But what it does is it makes it real easy for the felons to know exactly where the food is going.
Oh, yeah. They sing kites that way, everything.
Yep, absolutely. And they have special diets. If you're slick, the big homies always have an incredibly weird special diet so that their fellow brothers, gang members who might be working in the kitchen will go, oh my goodness, no mushrooms, no salt, no fish. Right? I know who that is.
Right.
And then they'll put a big pile of soy on your plate with a bunch of dope under it.
Right. You can be God anywhere, so
there's nothing, honestly. The problem becomes they've got all day long to think about how they're going to get you, right? They got all day long to think about how they're going to get you. You've got nothing but time on your hands, literally. And guys will think, you know, you start cutting a blade out of your bed, you know, you're not using that thing for probably 60 to 90 days minimum, right? It's going to take an awful long time to cut through that, especially if you're doing like angle iron or anything like that. That cutter will be this big by the time you're done. And it's just.
Or we just use toothpaste and like, what's that stuff to clean your teeth with? Dental floss, yeah.
Yeah, but they don't sell that anymore, man. No place.
They
I have not seen. No, man. They took that off of every commissary everywhere because they're not only because you can saw something in half with it, and you take toothpaste, a little bit of Comet, right? So they got a little grit in there, and you can literally cut through steel with one of those puppies. But the reason they got rid of it is because there were 2, might have even been more than that, but I know for a fact that there were 2 unalivings where a guy just did it with made a little garrote, and that stuff doesn't give. That's really nasty stuff. Is there a book you read on the inside that kind of changed your perspective?
No.
Nope. All right.
No, I've read the Bible eight or nine times. I've read it from front to back because they don't give you anything in the whole.
No,
You know,
you go to the hole. By the time you're 2 weeks in, by the time you've been in the hole about 2 weeks, the book cart will come by, and you'll have a shot. But they can't turn down a Bible. If you say I want a Bible, they don't get it to you that night. You're going to get a paycheck. So they'll bring a Bible.
Louis L'Amours were a big thing in there, so I read a lot of those.
They're on every book cart, and the other thing is you don't even need a car to get it. The books are about this big, and you can just flip them right under somebody's door. What's the worst thing that could happen to the suitcase woman once she gets to her forever home? Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness!
A mop bucket.
Yeah, exactly. They're going to take the hardware off the side of a mop bucket and go to town on the back of her dome with it. She may get to a yard where they have padlocks, right, for the lockers. The worst thing that could happen to her would be for a couple of people. She killed a Puerto Rican fella, right? She's white. That's not good, right? If there's a Puerto Rican car on that yard, they're going to lose their sense of humor about the fact that you zipped a guy up in a suitcase and laughed while he stopped breathing. Yeah, she could very easily find herself in a world of hurt. I would imagine that they're not going to put her in GP unless women's prisons are just brutal, man. Maybe they'll put her on the yard until someone kicks her ass.
She's going to be a higher level, guaranteed. She won't be in a dorm. You
would think that they would like PC her in some kind of AdSeg or DISSEG from day one, but it's really weird sometimes how they do things. But her problem. This is a real thing, right? It's a bad thing, right? It's a really bad thing if the person that you unalived is not a member of your race.
Oh, yeah.
It never goes well. And I do mean never. Yeah, you know something? I would imagine, right? I would imagine because of how difficult it is to get information out of NBC Brooklyn, right? When every other time somebody's on a yard, to get info about it is a joke. You can usually call up there and get a picture. Right? It's usually really easy. Yeah. You call it the first employee that picks up, you go, hey, you want $50? They'll say, guaranteed they'll email you, right? Because it seems pointless. They have closed down MDC Brooklyn, man, for real. Nothing's getting in and out of that. I would imagine they're protecting the diddler. I would imagine after what happened to the BOP, right? The Bureau of Prisons took a real shot in the face with that Epstein thing. They really did. The BOP and the Department of Justice look like clowns or liars, right? Gangsters.
Because they are.
They all of the above, man. All of the above.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so true. It really is.
There is a blue wall in the prison system too, sort of, I guess, between guards, but they look out for each other.
There's no question that they look out for each other. Any awkward question, but how do conjugal visits work? Normally, right? They do it in a trailer or like a trailer size apartment, little things built off the prison, and you go in there and spend usually Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and then you come back. I wouldn't. Yeah,
they have in the state. Yeah, in the state they have like little 1-bedroom apartments built. Like there's 3 of them, and they're all separated by fence.
There's a refrigerator.
Yeah, right? Your wife can bring in all the food, all the utensils, bedding, shampoo stuff, whatever, and of course,
right,
all the zoos and whams you want. They stay.
Flavo.
Right.
Flavo takes the hoop, so you can pay off all of your sports gambling debts from the previous season. Doesn't take much, man. One little balloon, honey. Right, we'll be on top of the world.
There'll be like 6 of them. So.
Right? I'm telling you, man. I mean, even if your friend, the person visiting you, brought you a knot of tobacco, you would be shocked, right? A can of Bugler's going for $1,500 these days inside.
Wow. I can remember they used to give us top when you got there.
That's how it was. The first prison I ever went to was a state joint. When I got there, I said, when can I buy tobacco? The cop said, you can't buy it until store next Tuesday. I go, oh my God, man. I got to go to next Tuesday. He's like, no, you go over there to the wall. He's like, there's 4 different kinds over there. You would turn a knob. You didn't have to put anything in it. Just turn a knob and it would fall down. But it was,
They would hand it out and a book of matches.
Midnight special, 4 aces. I'm talking about stuff that would make your lungs bleed. I remember the first time I hit that, I went, like, yeah, it's all bad. Do you know any prisoner who you thought was innocent?
Me.
Right? Like, I'll be really honest with you, man. The number of people that I met, right? The number of people that I met who said that they were innocent, it used to blow my mind, man. It used to blow my mind, right? I was in a drug class. I was doing a drug class in the feds, and there must have been 14 people in it, right? And we went around in a circle, right? What are you in here for? And there was nobody guilty, man. Nobody. It got to me. I'm like, wow, man, I did exactly what I was accused of. Maybe I'm in the wrong group. You know what I mean? Like, all of you were innocent. No, there was one guy that I know for a fact was in there and he shouldn't have been. And it was heartbreaking because this old man, and by old man, I would say he was in his 60s, maybe his late 60s. But he comes down and he says, he watches TV all day. It's all he does. I mean, all he does. And he started to talk to me about his case. And I said, yeah, if you want to talk about it, I'm like, what put you in here? And he goes, third strike on a drug thing. I said, really?
Oh, yeah.
His first strike was 14 grams of marijuana. Literally, right?
Wow.
Half an ounce of weed was his first. But there wasn't a third. When he brings down the case, I'm looking at it going, where's the third strike? And he's like, well, the one that I'm in here on. I'm like, that's your second strike, bro. There's no third on this. There is no third. Like, I said, what happened when you appealed this? He said, I didn't appeal it. That dude had been down 17 years, 18 years. I mean, you now don't have standing, right? Here's a guy that if he can get into court, they're going to have to let him out. They're probably going to have to pay him, but he has no standing, none. In the feds, once you have filed that motion and you've gone into court, bye-bye. Thank you, bye-bye. You don't get another shot. You win or you don't. Like, that's what we're doing with Q. And the only reason we got a shot is because ineffective counsel is the one thing, right? The only one thing that you can always, if your lawyer screwed up somehow, then you got a shot, right? To get back in. It doesn't mean that things are going to go good, but you got a shot to get back in.
I know a couple of guys that were under that. They just started that when I was in the third strike, and a guy got hit for stealing cookies and a piece of pizza. He got life.
Man.
Of course, they're out now, you know, but still, all that time just for that.
Yeah, that's absolutely awful.
You feel bad for them, but, you know.
So, hello from Chicagoland. Is crappy food punishment for being in prison on purpose? Did you ever get any quality food? Thank you. Here's what it is, right? Here's what it is. They want to save as much money as they possibly can, right? Because they're siphoning off everything that they don't spend by September, right? When the fiscal year comes along, they're going to buy equipment for the inside of the kitchen. Right, we had ovens that were like 45 minutes old. I swear to you, man, they were made in 2 years before we bought them, and these things are supposed to last 30 or 40 years. And the guy's talking to me. He's like, "Rock, you gotta go in there. We're gonna replace all of the ovens." I'm like, "What's wrong with the ovens?" He's like, "Nothing, but we're sitting on almost $100 grand, right? That we got to get rid of because if you spend it all, they bump your budget up by 15%, and if you don't, you get the same budget, and they're never gonna let that happen." So they've got hustles going where they're buying things and then they'll take the old ones. They're going to take and get rid of them. They take them and sell them, right? I mean, these are very, very expensive pieces of equipment. And the feds don't care, right? They print money. What do they care? So if they can feed you for 7 cents a day, right? There's a national menu, but everybody's buying from different suppliers. If they can feed you cheaper, trust and believe they're going to feed you cheaper, right? But when I was at Tucson, I had a job in the kitchen working the deep fryer. And we actually had oil. No joke, bro. We had oil in a deep fryer, like for real. Not, we didn't make it. It was in the kitchen, a legit deep fryer. Normally they won't do that because people like to throw boiling oil on one another. It's just awful stuff. But because I worked in there, anything that the cops had, right? And they were like, hey man, can you deep fry something? I don't know. What do you guys got? Right? If not, I'll just get the hell out of here and you can deep fry it. Right. But I'm going to get something out of this. Right. Forget it. I'll just go back to my unit. So occasionally I got some crazy stuff. Like they brought in Cornish game hen or if a restaurant gets in a lot of trouble, right? Like Red Robin, they apparently didn't pay tax and got into a crap load of trouble. So they just started giving the government food out of freezers that said Red Robin on it. So we ate some really good food from Red Robin for about a month. Other than the stuff you cooked yourself, Russ, because obviously,
I never got anything. Like I said before, I can't eat green beans to this day.
You couldn't find the chow hall. See, that's what happens though. That's what happens when you got homeboys or whatever when you first get there. The state bid, the state bid I did. I ran a sports book, right? And I mean, it was a huge sports book. Like we were making big money. My partner comes in here every once in a while. Jeffrey Canal, he's my partner. He comes in here, but we were making big cash. And for Christmas was coming up, and one of the guys I knew gave me a piece of paper, a little bow tied around, and I was like, "Ah, dude, that's stand up. You don't have to, get me anything." And I opened it up. It was a map to the chow hall. It's like I've never seen you in there. I figured maybe you get lost or something. I don't eat that stuff, bro. But thank you. Russ, did you ever see The Green Mile?
No, I've never seen it. I've never seen it. Never wanted to watch it. No.
Wow. Damn, you probably read the book, though. Did you read the book?
I read the book.
Yeah, I figured. Everybody, you know what? Yeah. If you're a convict, you read Stephen King because his books take a 90-day lockdown. You only need one book.
Tom Clancy, The Hunt for Red October.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember reading that all the time.
Or
Dean Koontz.
I was about to say that. Or Dean Koontz. We watched his dog get old and die on the back of the books. If you're a convict, you watch his golden retriever got old. His snout would start getting white. Oh, I was bummed out about the whole thing. I really was.
Yeah. That was that one guy who came in there that robbed his house that we beat up.
That's
or someone beat up.
Vivian P says it goes all the way down to the juvenile jail. It's a joke. A lot of money, volunteer power. Yeah, trips. It really, there's too much. I saw The Green Mile, by the way, Robert. Loved it. Loved the movie. Thought it was one of his better stories. The book's better. It's always that way, right? Because they can't jam everything in there. But it was a hell of a movie. Yeah, it's a good one. Indigo Twin.
In juvenile hall, they did that. They skimped on it. I remember we had hamburgers one day, and they were all bad. I mean, like 3 or 4 whole units of guys got sick, food poisoning. It was the worst time of, oh my God, it was bad.
I got paid for food poisoning. They got us so bad at Lewisburg. And you know, the funny thing is, I had to be the only dude, right, in the entire place that didn't get sick. I don't know what the hell the deal was. Straight up. My cellmate at the time was a guy named Donald Taylor. He got whacked at first day at Victorville. First day, dude. He didn't even make it the first night. But he was in there and he goes, "Oh man, I don't feel good." Right? He was the top bunk. And I'm like, "Man, you should get down because if you're gonna get sick or whatever." And I didn't even get the sentence out, dude. Like the projectile vomiting from the top down. And he did it for days. The entire prison stunk. He's like, "Why aren't you sick?" You know, I ate everything that everyone else did, right? For real. In fact, everybody suspected it was the fish, right? Because that's a logical thing. I ate his fish. I'm like, "You're not eating that? I'll knock that out." He's like, "You're not going to finish that?" Yeah, I'll take it.
Yeah. We had hamburgers that day. It was just so bad. And I worked the cart so I could get doubles. And of course I did. Right. It was the wrong thing to do.
Yeah. How accurate is Shawshank Redemption? Well, I'll tell you something. It's a very old movie, right?
Yeah.
Very old movie. There are not very many prisons left that have cell houses, right? Where you actually have bars. That is a thing of the past. And the ones that have it, to make it look like it isn't, they'll put little thin-ass pieces of metal up there that you can barely see through, so it screws up your view, right? But it makes it look like you're in a proper cell. Makes it hard to pass stuff. That's what it does.
Right.
But, But in that movie, there was a roving gang of people that liked to assault the fellas in there. And I'm telling you, you just don't see that, right?
No.
But if you're in general population, it is assumed everybody on the yard with you has been checked out, has been thoroughly vetted. The people on the yard didn't do anything, they don't have a crappy charge. You don't have to worry about them, right? So for that reason, if somebody were to do something like that to him, that person's going to leave Earth. There's no way he doesn't get to live if they do that. So that kind of thing, I heard it. Guaranteed you, I heard it once, right? I heard it. But
I never did.
Yeah,
I never did.
only
In
heard it
10 years,
once.
I did. Yeah. In 10 years, I did. I never heard it in California. I didn't even hear it in Indiana.
I heard it
No.
in my bed. So it was the cell directly above me, man. It couldn't have been any other, right? And at the time I was working in the factory, and the kid in that cell, the younger of the two, was on my line. And I went up and said to him, "Hey man, if you're having any trouble up, in your cell," and he jumped my shit. "Man, you in my race, get the hell away from me." Like, jumped my shit. I was like, "Hey, all right, how you doing?" Shawshank Redemption is a masterpiece. I think it's one of the great prison movies. Yeah. Whether or not it's super realistic, I think it probably was back then. I think that's probably a good snapshot of what prisons looked like back in the day. It's one of the reasons that gangs started.
Was like that, yeah.
Yeah, one of the reasons that gangs started was because roving bands of people would not attack their own; they would attack other races. So the races started to clan up to make sure that nothing was going to happen to theirs, providing you were a solid dude. If you weren't, it basically threw you to the dogs. But now California changes the prison system in the U.S. Whatever goes in Cali, for the most part, is what happens, especially in the feds. They follow what happens in California. So it's different. That movie was fantastic. I love that movie. What's the longest stretch you ever did in the shoe?
Me? 16 months.
I don't hold you.
Yeah.
Anything over 6, I figure is cruel and unusual punishment. And I'm not even being funny. Like
when I was in, they didn't have limitations on that. I mean, after I got into it with that guard, they wanted to put me in for 3, but for 16, I was, at that limit. So I don't know.
Yeah.
They just kicked me out after 16 months.
I did 34 was the longest stretch I did, but I watched people go nuts, right? I watched people that could not handle being locked down, like really freak out. And it happens right at about that 6-month mark every time. If they ain't going to make it, that half a year mark is usually about when it goes bad.
That's when they give you your TV.
Right? Well, for ADSEG, if you're in administrative segregation, you get, this is in the prison I was at. ADSEG, you got your TV, but if it's disciplinary seg, you get nothing. You get a Bible. You get a Bible and paper clothing. So Joliet Prison is used for movies a lot because it doesn't meet modern day standards. They also have a haunted house every Halloween. I would love to go to a haunted house at Joliet Prison. That's where Jake and the Blues Brothers, right?
Elwood.
Joliet
Jake and Elwood. Yeah.
The opening scene from that is there.
Yeah.
Rich, you better get there quickly, man. You better get there quickly. Unfortunately, it's gonna fall into the ocean. I'm not even being funny. I've taken the tour out there on multiple occasions, and each time you go out there, anything metal starting to look really, really bad. Like they just get pounded on that island. All of the salt water and everything, it's destroying that prison. It's really, really bad. But it's a hell of a lot of fun to go out and take the tour. Although, you know something, you can always, like I said, I've taken it multiple times. You can look around and tell who's done time. Instantly. The people that are walking through, they got big shit-eating grins on their face. You're like, yeah, they haven't done a day. They show you how you would pull one lever to lock and unlock all the doors. You know how those work? And I was
in with one guy. He had an A number, which that is the beginning of time. And he was still in prison. We used to call him Heb because he was Hebrew.
Right.
But white-haired guy, he was probably in his 80s. And he would tell us stories about back in the day in Folsom, Quentin, Soledad. I mean, it was just crazy. And you had nothing but respect for the guy. He had an A number, which is like, wow.
He had to be close on 100, right? He's not with us anymore if he had an A number.
Yeah.
Honestly, people, that really does date somebody. People tell you they got a D number. They're usually senior citizens.
I had an E number.
Well, you are a senior citizen. No. I have never seen Orange is the New Black. Have you?
No.
I have not seen
I wouldn't watch that.
I don't know that I could. I don't know that I could. If I come up 1 October, you'll go with me. Well, there you go. I really would like to see Joliet Prison. Bill went to Alcatraz on a field trip in grade school. Scared the shit out of his kids when they locked us in D block isolation cells.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dark.
That's what we were just talking about. That's where
it's real cruel and unusual if you can't see your hand in front of you and you can't.
You know something? I remember those days. They used to have holes that were holes. Before, I don't remember what year they came out with Priya, right? But Priya changed everything. Like everything. I think that they had been getting hit with so many lawsuits, right? That it's called the Prison R Elimination Act, right? It has so little to do with that. But it got everything else. It got everything else kind of figured out. Like we got shower curtains, which is big pimping. They made a rule that if you were put into the shoe, the hole had to have a light in it. Right? That may sound super like obvious. It isn't. You got to spend 2 weeks in the dark.
I spent 3 days in the dark once. It wasn't bad. It wasn't good.
No, it ain't no joke, man. And you're trying to feel your way to everything because this is a different kind of dark. I don't think you can, right? It's dark like the inside of a tomb at midnight.
Yeah, it is.
Because there's just no light that, there's a window about this big and they put a magnet that goes snap, right?
Yeah.
You ain't seeing nothing. You ain't seeing nothing. And then they bring you all of your meal, right? Everything you're going to have all day long, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, put into one little thing that they call loaf. So whatever you're having during the day, they add this powder to it, and they put it in a little bread pan, teeny little bread pan. It is
bread.
Oh my God, it's the grossest thing in the entire world, dude. I can never get that down.
Yep.
You know what? Con Air is a really fun movie, and it's so horrifically wrong in everything. I mean, it's not accurate, right? It's so not accurate that when it comes on in prison, the fellas can't not watch it. Usually prison movies aren't getting a whole lot of traction, but when Con Air comes on, everybody and their brother wants to see it because most of the fellas, this might be the first time they've seen the movie since actually being on Con Air, right?
That's true.
That movie's funny as hell. It really is.
Yeah.
It made me laugh.
I hate his fake accent. It's just so wrong.
His accent is awful. They don't. Usually what happens is they put them in general population until they figure out they can't be in general population, right? Ideally, they want to put them there and forget about them, right? They don't want to do paperwork. So they kick them to the yard. And the fellas walk up and say, hey, man, you need to get your paperwork. You got, 3 days. Well, they're not going to wait 3 days, right? Nothing good could happen in those 3 days. So they usually walk right up and say, I can't be on this yard, man. They're checking paperwork. I got that paperwork, whatever. But a lot of them will try to fly under the radar. Think they can get away with it. They get a fake set of documents sent in or whatever. They get crushed. They get hurt. They get spit on. They have a really bad time. It's not how you want to go to the joint.
Yeah, we had a warden's clerk that was like JD. I mean, he would just let us know. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Get the wood chipper.
Hammer alert. Yeah, we had some that. Yeah, I've told this story on here before, but I had a cop that said to me, if you punch that dude in the head, I'll get you out of the hole by tomorrow morning and I'll give you a Sangean 1 battery radio. And this is a cop. I was like, let me see the radio, dude. How beat up is it? He's like, it's in the box. I'm like, I'm going to hit this dude right now, man. I ain't even at that. I got to stay in a hole for a week, dude. Those things would burn one of the teeny batteries. It would take like 8 days to go through one, right?
Oh, yeah.
The regular ones, you got 20 hours, right? I mean, a day and a half. You watch Coast to Coast AM twice, you're screwed. You got to buy more batteries.
You're right.
Megan Jeffrey, we're glad you're here. The book Orange is the New Black is based. Oh, so it's based on a book? Yeah, they're always better. Hey, B-Bombs. Chicago used to allow tours of the high security prison for women downtown, shaped like a triangle. Wow. And they would allow so that anybody that wanted to go and just check that out could do that? Were you ever in when they brought kids through? Did you ever get to do a scared stiff on some kids?
Scared straight? No, I was too high custody. Yeah. My custody was like 3 or 4, so they never brought kids through. We would have scared the shit out of them. Right? Sorry, but yeah.
I know. I always wondered about this. The only time I've ever seen anything like that was we had a cop that his kid was having issues, and he was talking to me about it. Literally, like we were having a conversation, and he's describing all of this stuff. And I said to him, "You don't have any light bulbs in your house disappearing, do you?" Because this weird look on his face, right? Because what he was saying is, I can go at 5 o'clock in the morning, my kid's playing video games. It doesn't matter what time of day. He's like, I don't think the kid sleeps. I'm like, are you losing light bulbs? He's like, yeah, they burn out constantly. I go, no, they don't. Right?
No,
and he
they don't.
locked me down. When I told him what was happening, which was that the kid was doing that, he locked me down. But he came back the following day and he goes, man, I searched everything. He goes, in his shoes in the closet, I found a big bag of dope. And
man.
So yeah, it's dark all the time, Idaho, Carol. It used to be. It's not anymore. They had to do away with that stuff. And there used to be puddles on the floor. That's not so far off in the shoe. Usually water's leaking. It's pretty pretty disgusting.
Yeah,
pretty disgusting. So when Alcatraz got shut down, all of the inmates that were at Alcatraz got sent to either Atlanta, Lewisburg, or Leavenworth. Those were the only three options. So it was a who's who of the like the greatest named inmates in the world that ended up at all of these places. You know, all of them. The really like the old time gangsters, all of them went to prison. Right? There was no big time gangster that didn't do a stretch, 4 years, 10 years, whatever, to prove to the family that you could be trusted. You know. But yeah, there's a lot of famous people that went through those. Wasn't so nice when I was there.
Yeah, right.
Number one rule, do not interact with the prisoners. It was for educational purposes, for a con law class I took. Wow. I would be paranoid as hell. I would not, like, can you imagine? I wouldn't go into a woman's prison. Like if they said, hey, we'd like you to speak. No, I'm good. No, I'm good.
Oh,
I'm
no.
Good. Yeah, I'm good. I wouldn't go anywhere near it. I wouldn't go anywhere near it.
I was at Avenal for about a week, which was a level 2. I'm not sure if it had 3 or what, but when I was there, they had a women's yard. Okay. And then we used to walk right by it. And there were women there that they worried me. They got it because back then they had a weight pile too, all free weights, pig iron, whatever. But these girls were throwing up 400 pounds on a bench. They had more tattoos and a bigger neck than me. I'm like,
there are some really my last sentence, right, with all the bang bangs, I had a co-defendant, right? I didn't know I had a co-defendant until I showed up at trial. I'm not kidding you. That tells you how good my attorney was. I'm like, who the hell is this? Right? They tell me the woman's name. I'm like, Your Honor, I don't know who the hell that is. Like, I have no idea who you're talking about. How is this my co-defendant? Well, apparently the weaponry that I bought, right, touched her hands somewhere along the way to me.
Oh, okay.
Like, we didn't know each other at all. And when I got my paperwork, I'm smutting this chick up to everybody. I'm like, why is this chick's name in my paperwork? Like, she's got to be a rat, right? What the hell is this? When I figured out who it was, I was like, oh my God. So I started writing letters, right, to everybody, trying to fix, because what I did was literally smut this chick up. But she ended up getting my register number and writing to me in the feds to thank me for trying to clean up her name. She said, I talked to talked to a woman that said you were telling everybody that it was your problem, that was your fault. And it was. But I didn't know I had a damn, like, how is that even possible? But she was a stone cold killer. I'm not kidding you. Like when I got to read through the discovery because it was part of both. This woman was a stone cold killer. Yeah, she scared the hell out of me just reading it. I'm like, her paperwork is way worse than mine. You know what I mean? I've been convicted for bank robbery. She had worse paperwork. I'm not joking. It was really, really bad. Prison yards on the roof. You ever been on one of those? You ever been in a high-rise joint?
No.
They're awful, dude. So when you're
I have been at county jail, Orange County Jail. I did go up on the roof once for rec.
Awful, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that.
It sucks.
Hate that. First of all, wreck in a cage is the worst. God, I hate going to rec. And there's a rule in the feds with the white boys that the white boys go to rec, right? Like the only reason you don't go to rec is if maybe, you lost a leg, right? You fell out of the rack and your head is bleeding out. No other reason will they give you a break for. This is, you know what? Tribe Called Duff says, I think they found one of the guys who managed to escape decades later, or was that a fake story? It was not a fake story. They believe that they tracked these guys to where they went. None of them got the family that came out to say this is who it was. They waited until they were dead, which is pretty damn solid, right? Pretty damn solid to wait for your family to pass away. But there were some Christmas cards. There was a lot of things that these guys have been doing that if it's a fake story, they put a hell of a lot of effort into this fake story.
Oh yeah. Didn't they have facial recognition too?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There was so much to this that even the cops don't want, they don't want to ever say, yeah, one got away, especially from a supermax. And as it turns out, a couple of them got away. One drowned in the process, I guess. Did Pruno wine give you a mean hangover? Does it taste like crap? Seems like it would be harsh.
Oh yeah. I seen guys in the state. I seen guys that drank it and just lose all their bowel movements in the middle of the night. They're so hammered, and it'll get you wasted, but it'll just ruin you.
It'll ruin you. Absolutely, it will. And the reason it will is because the bug, right? And you'll hear the fellas say, like, if I'm making a bag of wine, I'll go down to Russ's cell and say, hey man, I don't have a kicker. Can you lend me a bug? And he'll go into his bag of wine, right? And just grab any small piece of fruit that's getting really nasty and disgusting. And I'll take that and go throw it in my bag of wine. And that'll get everything kicking, right? But you're supposed to kill the bug, right? Before you drink the wine. But the fellas, like if you're coming down with your wine on Friday night, you don't want to wait till Saturday to drink that, especially if you're selling it. So they sell off and they sell it by the bag, right? I mean, it's a quart, but they put it in the bag. So you buy a bag of wine, you're going to drink it that night, and it will give you the green apple two-step for about a week. I mean, bad. And depending on what they make it out of, cinema. Honestly, like when I had access to cool stuff in the kitchen, I was smuggling out grapefruit, and grapefruit wine is killer. You would not believe how good it is. Yeah, there are things you can make. Apple's fantastic. You make cider. That's great.
Cinnamon buns.
Ketchup, not so much. Yeah, cinnamon buns, not so much. How about chocolate bars?
Oh yeah, yeah.
We did chocolate bars.
You don't want to eat another chocolate for the rest of your life.
Or Starlight mints. You guys know what a Starlight mint is? You know, at Christmas time, you get those things that are red and white and they're spiraled.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. 4 of those bags is for 1 gallon. Right. 8 of them is for 2 gallons, and they sell them even in the shoe. So we would crush all those up, right? Throw them into to a bag, tie that stuff up. The bugs. Well, here's the thing. So fermentation, the fellas refer to it as a bug, because technically what's happening is there is a bug inside there, right? And it's eating sugar. And when it burps alcohol. That's why the bag keeps getting bigger. The gas action that kind of goes on. And that's at least how I had a really old black dude that explained to me. I said, how do you get wine in here? First prison I was ever at. It's county jail, actually. And he goes, you make it. I'm like, how's that work? And he's like, sit down, son. He's like, you got to get a bug. Yeah, exactly. He started breaking it down for me. You want to put 2 pounds on every gallon. Yep. But if you make it out of ketchup, I have drank some stuff that, I mean, you take that first mouthful and you're like, oh God, I just paid $25 for this, right? Which is a crap load of money inside. And you're sitting there with a gallon of it. You're going, yeah, I'm drinking this. I'm getting this down, right? And you swallow it and go, fighting to hold it down. What percentage of individuals serving time do you think can be helped if actually given help? And what percentage of individuals do you feel no therapy, intervention, or support can help?
Well, I mean, go ahead first.
I'm of the firm belief, right? I'm of the firm belief that everybody can be helped. The reason I say that is because of what I do, right? I gotta believe that the people that show up here, no matter how far gone they are, can come back, right? I have to believe that. However, Drew Peterson could not be rehabilitated, I promise you. There were some other people that I was in there with that you look at and go, no, there's no chance in hell. You look at them and the second they walk in the room, you're like, oh no, right? This dude's gonna trash a unit. As soon as he comes in, you know that he has punched somebody every 2 or 3 days his entire life. Like he's never had a stretch where 3 weeks went by that he didn't get in a fist fight. Never happened.
Yeah.
And I hate it.
I think it's 50-50. I think it's 50-50. I mean, you get to a point in your life where you're just tired of, doing things wrong or being addicted or relying on pills to make it through or the shot or all of that. You just get so tired of it. And if you get to that point, you just got to do something. Yeah. It's because you're going to go, I'm going to be in jail for the rest of my life over a pound of meth. Yeah. Or I'm going to do something. And that's the point that I got to.
Sick and tired of sick and tired. Right?
Yeah.
Sick and tired of sick and tired.
I say it's 50-50. Yeah, you take a chance everywhere you go. But that person has to want to be helped. Yeah,
even the guy that helped me get sober, he's worked with 5 people, and one crashed and burned. One. Yeah, he's not batting 1,000. One of the guys got out, and actually, not only did he come back, but when he came back, he came back with 3 bodies. Like he came back, he ain't getting out.
Yeah, and guys they truly get institutionalized. And
Megan, you're right.
Yeah, they just get used to it.
You agree with that, don't you?
Yeah, age
there's a shift that happens, and in the feds, they know it, right? So when you hit 35, they drop your yard points by 4 because statistically speaking, you're going to get in less fights than the guys who are below 35. And when you get to 45, you get another really nice kick. That's the last of the kicks. But guys over 45 don't get in fights. And I know you've been here, right? You're in a unit, the door opens, and the guys are coming in with their bedrolls, and there's 4 of them, and they look like they're 14, and you're like, oh my God, this whole unit's gone.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You get to a certain age where you can retire from that life, but you still have status. Every occasion you might have to, talk to somebody.
Be there when it goes down.
Yeah. So, or just handle it yourself. But don't get it twisted. It could be done.
It absolutely can be done. I really do believe that most people if the person's ready, right, anybody can change, right? Except for, and I've always said this, when you go into prison, the vast majority of guys in there, they're in there because they were trying to feed a drug habit. That's the vast majority of people in there. They were just trying to stay high. Then there's a group of people that didn't think they could make legal money, so they took the crime route. And then the next thing you know, you're kind of trapped in it. You can't get out of it. That's a lot of people who just sort of, this is a job, right? It's not a good one, but it's kind of a job. And then there's that percentage that just has bad wiring. Like the Drew Petersons of the world and all the freaks that we'll never see because they're going to send them to a different kind of yard.
Yep. There's no retired drug dealers. So
there's no retirement homes.
No.
For retired drug dealers. Well, there is. They call it the federal prison system. How long does it take to get used to being free again?
Wow. I mean, it took me years. And sometimes I still feel that way,
I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I'll let you know. As soon as I start feeling like I'm really back into the groove of it, I no longer have the nightmares where it's almost 3 o'clock and I'm not near the cell and I know I'm screwed. I'm like, it's count. And in my dreams, I used to be in a restaurant or a bar, or at somebody's Christmas party, and I'd be like, I gotta go, and run out, and there you are. You're right back in. Just stupid ass dreams that you get when you leave prison. I don't get those anymore. You get any prison dreams?
Right. Do I?
Yeah.
I've had a few, but they were just like real, they weren't that good because it was like dreams of something I had to deal with or what I've seen.
Trauma.
So they're still touch and go. Yeah. It's like
PTSD
almost. Yeah.
Cedric Walker asks, any prisoners you could tell were psychopaths or sociopaths?
Oh yeah.
Plenty. I think you'd be shocked just how many times somebody walks in and I'm talking about if you're gonna scare a criminal, right? I mean, I knew some guys that were just bangers. Like these guys didn't give a crap and they had arms this big. And then that one psycho comes in, right? And the dude I'm holding a knife for the guy anyway, right? And he comes into my cell. He's like, "Hey man, I need that knife." You need what? Oh, dude, what are you doing? I'm not doing anything. Did you see that guy that just came in? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yeah, I'm carried until we figure out who that dude is. He's like, I don't like the look in that cat's eyes. And they're absolutely, I mean, you'll come across them and they like hurting people. That's why they ended up in prison. They enjoy that process. And even most guys who fight don't like fighting. I know that sounds stupid, but most guys really
I never liked fighting. No. And my uncle, Big Mike, they called him Big Mike because he was one of those dudes that had, 20-inch arms and white hair. Yep. And the only tattoo he had was on the back of his arm, solid white. That's all it said. But he was quiet. And that's what worried everybody.
Yeah.
Because
and
he didn't play. I'll
tell you the other one that's the one that's really started to bother me, and I didn't see it until probably the last 2 years I was down. I started to see it all the time. But it's guys that tattoo their eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And when you look at these people, I mean, you want to talk about a bad dream, right? And we had probably 5 on one yard I was on. And the guy will walk up and ask you a question, be like, "Hey, dude," and there's nothing there. It's just jet black where his eyes ought to be. Yeah. I mean, I used to say to this one dude in unicorn, I'm like, "Man, put sunglasses on before you come over here." Man, I swear to God, like, I'm not helping you. If I got to look into those black things, like, I'm not helping you, bro. I'm not even playing.
Right.
So I find that frightening. People that or guys that they got FU on their forehead. Like anybody that's going to tattoo FU on their forehead, I promise you, they're probably a sociopath.
Or a big Nazi symbol, or
yeah, a Swazi on your forehead, lightning bolts. Yeah. Oh, I've seen it all, dude.
Yep,
I've seen it all.
Well, you can't really see mine, but
can one not just go into prison and just mind your own business and be left alone? Says V. McWilliams. You know what? You can, right? However, you better do exactly what you say you're going to do, right? So in the feds, if you walk in and you go, "Hey, you know what, man? I'm a Muslim, right? I'm not putting work in. I'm not doing any of that." They'll go, "Okay, go hang out with the Muslims or go hang out with the Christians, right? Or go do." But if you're hanging out with the Christians or you're hanging out with the Muslims and then you're on the yard buying dope, you're not hanging out with the Muslims, right?
Nope.
You're a phony and you're trying to hide out on this yard. So if you're really going to do your time that way, and there's a group of people in every chow hall, you've never been in a chow hall, didn't have the brother table, right? Where everybody's praying and they're all, you can do your time that way. I didn't, probably because I was running and gunning when I first went in. I was getting high every day and just being an idiot.
Yeah.
Indigo Twin says, was it hard to reconnect with family after getting out of prison?
Yes.
I still struggle with it. You have the guilt of what you did. Right?
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Yeah, like I said, I could be back in California right now at someone's house, one of my family members, and I could be doing the same thing, or even worse, I could be cooking. Or don't get me wrong, but when you can either go back to that or get away from it. I had to get away from it.
Thank God. Indigo Twin also says, I don't think you can rehab serial criminals. You're looking at 2 of them.
Yeah.
I promise you. I don't know how many felonies you got, bro, but
I got quite a few.
Yeah, I don't even want to get into it, man. I mean, I went zipping by a dozen. Now. I went zipping by a dozen when I was still in my 30s.
Yeah. Shit, I probably got about 40.
Yeah.
From juvenile all the way up, yeah.
Yeah. Most guys who, I mean, a lot of them really serial criminals in this country, right? In this country, if you went out today and you shoplifted and you got caught and got arrested, they'll write you a ticket, right? In the parking lot, they'll write you a ticket. First time, no problem. Show up in court, pay your fine, go home. Do it a second time, a third time, a fourth time, a fifth time. It takes about 12 or 13 of those stupid kinds of arrests before they'll put somebody in prison. They give you so many freaking chances. It's incredible. They really do. So, yeah, I
do know a girl who's been arrested over 75 times in the past 10 years. Yeah, one time it was for 8. Yeah, she's not out. They keep letting her out. I can't believe it. 6 felonies last time and 2 misdemeanors, and they let her go.
Yeah, that's insane. That's absolutely insane. You run into prostitutes that have records like that. Because when a prostitute gets busted on a Friday night, she goes back out and works. That's what she does. So You hear about stuff like that. I got 230 arrests for solicitation or whatever.
You're right. It's just nuts.
Do you still read? Do you read on the street?
Yeah. I don't read as much.
Yeah, there's no way you could possibly read as much because it is all I did. Like for real. That's what I did. Even when I was at my job, my job was ordering food and I had to handle payroll, but you don't do anything till the end of the month. And then you sit around on your butt and wait till the end of the next month. So I would just sit there and read books all day. I used to bust out a book a day, right? Depending on the size, you just go through them.
Since we got this, we do audiobooks. I do them at work,
Yeah.
Everybody got their phones and just pop a book in. Yeah.
To be sure. Sclera tattoos are so damn dangerous. And you know what? Stupid, right? If you could see how they do it, you don't even want to. Oh, God. It's just so disgusting.
Man, I couldn't do it.
Sue Vance says, I've made this comment before, but I want to remind people that there are people in jail who actually care about others. I owe my survival to those guys. I owe my survival to one of those guys. My sobriety and everything else is because somebody in there wanted to do for me what the prison system did not want to do for me, which was help me get sober and live a better life.
Yeah. You do find true friends in there. I mean, really good dudes when they're sober and they've got their mind right. You can find some of the best people in the world, but don't cross them. Don't test them. Don't disrespect them.
Yeah, it's just different, right? If you give somebody your word, or you say, I got your back or whatever, it's really kind of a different thing. James says, I have respect tattooed across my forehead and pure love tattooed on my eyelids. James, did you do any Fed time?
Yeah, I got it across my forearm.
Because I know a guy from the Feds that has respect tattooed across his forehead. I really do.
If you don't have respect, you'll get hit with it.
Thank you, Debbie. That's a very kind thing to say.
Thank you.
All right. And you know what we're going to do? Kristen Melinda, 10 months. Say it ain't so. It's been that long. All right, people.
So sweet.
Word means everything. I'm going to finish up with this and then I'll let Russ go because he needs to get some sleep. But the first time I ever went in, right, there was a guy that said to me, they're going to take everything from me. He told me in the county jail. He's like, you're going to go to prison on this one. I'm like, probably. I've been arrested so many times. He's like, this is the time you're going to go. And he said, when you get there, you'll have nothing but your balls and your word, right? Mm-hmm. And he said, and if your word's no good, your balls better be excellent, right? Because if your word isn't any good, man, your knuckle game better be on because you're going to get in fights after fights after fights after fights.
Yep. I did want to say one thing. Okay. Yep. Back to that question about the Shawshank Redemption, the movie. Yep. The one thing that I went through that was right is they did delouse you when you got there. When I was in, they did it.
Oh, I've been deloused with the powder?
Yeah. The white powder.
And a hose.
Yeah.
They haven't done that in a long time, but I've been deloused. They used to do it to every single person in the door. If you came in with a 3-piece suit on, they treated you the exact same way. And they had these little bags. They throw them on you. The bags break. It was awful. It was degrading. Yep. And there was usually 3 or 4 people there watching it happen. Yeah.
You can take nothing with you. Any story you had from the county, you got to get rid of it. All your property except for legal work. You could bring that. That was
Justine says, you'd comment, evening boys, you'd think that the prostitutes would want to be in jail rather than the streets. They're safer in jail. The prostitutes aren't out there to make money. They're out there to get drugs. The money, the money will be in their hand for 2 seconds. People don't sell their body for money, right? Especially not on the street. They sell it for drugs. It's sadly, that's the truth. No one's doing it and getting rich. Pretty woman, BS. That doesn't happen. All right, people. Russ and I are going to be back next week at this time. Thank you for stopping by the Night Yard. Between now and the next time we see each other, reach out and try to save somebody. Good night.
See you.